Hey guys, so as you can see from the title, this is motivation on paper. So I am going to be telling you to do a few things. So what I want you to do right now is get some paper and a pen, a couple of pens. It depends how good you really want it to look, if you're going to put it anywhere, if you're going to keep it, etc. But it's mostly just a feel-good thing to get you kind of feeling a little bit better. And what I want you to do is you can draw yourself. Now, it doesn't matter how you draw yourself. I know some of you may have body dysmorphia, they may not know how to draw themselves. You may want to do yourself, all in detail, like, filled out and, doing a dramatic pose or anything, like that. Obviously with actual detail. You may want to just do, a stick man. And maybe do your hairstyle on it or something, You can do yourself with like a giant head or something, and arms coming out like that, and little body or something, You could do just your face, just something that is you. It can be however you want it, really, but quite big, taking up most of the middle of the page. And I'll show you mine. You can add colour or not, it can be as how you want it or not. Mine is really rubbish. As you can see, I added a lot of colour to my lips because I wear really bright lip gloss usually. And that one's me. Doesn't quite look the same, but yeah. As you can see, my hair is back because I knew that's how it would be now. And now, once you've drawn that, I don't mind if you pause. Well, of course I don't mind. If you pause it and do your little picture of you now, just gonna give you a couple of seconds to pause it. Okay, and press play. Yeah. Sorry. Okay, so now you have your picture of yourself, and it may be a really hard thing to do. You may not have any idea, even if you did just a stick person with your hairstyle, that would do. And I want you to do a few lines coming off of it. Okay? Just, not lots. Okay. And in fact, you don't even have to do this straight away anyway. I want you to do things about yourself, write things about yourself on it. And they're not allowed to be bad. So I got to admit, because I've got preset words that I did on the bus yesterday for this. And I was finding it really hard not to write obsessive, perfectionist, eating disorder, things like that on it, freak, things like that on it, stubborn. I found it really hard not to write things like that because those are the things that instantly come into your head. But you can't write things like that. I am banning you from writing things like that. So the first thing I would write for me is probably strawberries. Because strawberries are like a huge, important part of me. I am absolutely obsessed with them. It seems really odd, right? Strawberries. But it's something to do with me. It's a good thing in my eyes, and it's just about me. I just want you to know, guys, that if you do have trouble thinking of these things, it's not because they aren't there. It can be, just that you may find it hard to think of yourself in a good way. You might find it scary to write good things in case you feel bad about it, like, you can't write helpful because you're scared that it might be vain and other people might think otherwise. You know that no one else is going to see this, okay? So, write things that are good. Okay, so, also I just want you to remember, these are preset. It actually took me ages to think of things. But yeah, so I would also probably write listening. This is one that I had a bit of trouble kind of admitting to myself. But I am definitely a listener. When people have problems and come to me, I will listen. I have times when I can then try and make them feel better by relating it to myself, and I end up going off on one about myself, which I feel like it's attention seeking, honestly. But listening, you know, I listen. Animal lover. So you can think of the hobbies that you have. You can think of the different things that you may do, the different things that people come to you for, things like that, the good qualities. I would say analytical. I think and I think about things. This I don't have a trouble with writing because I absolutely am analytical. Okay. I'm a night owl, so it's just a descriptive word, because night owl isn't necessarily an amazing thing, but it's a part of me, so it may be a part of you, although I'm also an early bird. As I said, if you're having trouble thinking of them, you know, it takes you a long time, and it's very hard to write them. It doesn't mean that they're not necessarily there. They probably are, you're just having trouble admitting them to yourself, you know? So, I don't know what the point of that was. I would also probably say for me, determined. Like, I am determined in what I do. Sometimes, if I set a plan for myself, I'm not saying a bad food plan or anything, but anything, if I set a plan for myself, I will stick to it. If I mess up in that plan along the way, I will get back to it. If I plan to wake up every day at 3 a.m. for no particular reason, I will stick to that. If I decide to help all of you as much as I possibly can, I will stick to that, and I will be absolutely stubborn as hell and determined not to let that go wrong. Japan. I love the Japanese culture. Clearly I'm not Japanese. I love the culture, I love the paintings, I love the tea ceremonies, I love the big buildings that they do, I love the whole culture, and that is a big part of my life because it's things that I draw, it's a big part, I like it, I really love it. If ever I was to go to a restaurant, I would have to go to an Asian style restaurant, you know. Maybe Indian, I don't know, but Chinese, Japanese, things like that, you know, and it kind of links in with the strawberry thing because they're things that make up who I am a little bit. Those kind of obsessions, the things that I love make up a bit of me, so the things that you love, you can write down, whether it's the name of a pet, skylight, my goodness, I can't believe I didn't think of this earlier. Skylight. Cats, I'm a cat person, or I love, well, animal lover actually, but, you know, I love cats, I love dogs, everything, you know, so what you love also, you can put one here. Articulate. If you can put your thoughts into words quite easily, you're probably articulate. And, you know, if you don't have any of these that I'm writing down, that isn't a bad thing either. This is me. This is about me. This is my identity. You have to think about your identity, because your eating disorder or self-harm or any mental disorder that you may have is not your identity. These things are. These things that make up who you are. They're not negative. Some of them aren't negative or positive. Skylight, strawberries, Japan, night owl, early bird, they just make up who you are. Quirky. Now, I've got to admit, this is kind of my other word for weird. I am weird, but that wasn't the right word. It's not positive. Quirky is kind of, you know, this thing is quite quirky. That's who I am. That makes up a little bit of me because I'm a bit weird, you know. It wasn't easy for me to think of these things. These are the only things I could think of apart from Skylight, which I thought of just now. And it's really very difficult to think of them if you're in the kind of mindset where you really don't feel right about yourself. Or, you know, I know that sometimes with bipolar people, they may one minute feel absolutely like they are the scum of the earth, and the next minute they can feel like they have superpowers, you know. But you know, these words are pre-chosen. They're so difficult, but you've got to, even if it's not necessarily positive, as long as it's not negative, this is part of your identity and who you are. You know, the biggest thing, although you may lose yourself now and then, me. You've got to write on it, me. That is who you are, me. This is my identity. I may sometimes feel completely disgusting. I may sometimes feel like I deserve to die. I may sometimes feel like I deserve everything I get. But at the end of the day, this is what makes up you. This is you. This is what makes up your identity. These are the good things about you. These are the things that people will notice. These are the things that make it so that you do deserve the good stuff. Okay. Please try and do that. If you couldn't think of anything, that is okay. It doesn't mean there isn't anything. It means you may have trouble trying to think of yourself in that way, so it's hard for you to think of things. It may be that every time you think of something, you can't write it down. Yeah, because you don't want to think of yourself in a good way. It's not a good way to be, I got to admit, you know. Sorry it cut me off at the end there a little bit, but yeah, it's not a good way to be. You can't help but feel like you can't really write the good things down, but this is your chance to write the good things down. And after you've finished it, you know, either keep it or throw it away. It's obviously your choice, but if I were you, I would keep it. And it just means that it's there, you know. You don't need to think of the bad things and focus on the bad things all the time. This is your chance to finally focus on a bit of the good things.